I hope you guys don't get muddy. So this is their little entrapment. It was chest high to the horses. 1.5 miles that way was gonna make it that high here. Just blows my mind. It's all right, it's all right. We were the chosen ones. Had to be somebody, right?
Is that all right?
Yep. When the water came, it came at such force that it took everything in the shop and just pushed it to the side. What was funny is it went as far back, maybe a 1/4 mile, and hit, maybe even a 1/2 mile, hit some hills, and then came back through again. So everything's just kind of all over the place. We had, just to let you know how powerful it was, that horse tank was full of water, and it was right here at the entrance. So it took a full tank of, I mean, I don't know how much that weighs, but it pushed it that far out. The first flood back here, this is where the horses are most of the time, and they were belly deep in water here when we moved them to higher ground out front. So we're gonna get them, there's the garbage cans. Yeah. We're gonna get hopefully into some shelter, because they won't, I mean, the ground's so saturated they won't be able to come back here for a while, and I'm gonna have to get everything replanted for grass. The only thing that's gonna come up in there is some weeds, so that will be its own challenge. We haven't made it back to the back pasture because we'd have to cross that creek, and that is still pretty full, so there's no access to the back as of right now. Those vents on the bottom, they filled, and so we have 3 feet of water, or had 3 feet of water underneath the length of the house. Keep in mind, this isn't just clean water. This came from downriver, so any kind of human and animal waste, or the 700 dead hogs in Fremont, probably attributed to what is in the water. We got that pumped out yesterday, but the house smells pretty stale and stinky. The ductwork was floating in the water, so we're gonna have to replace that and get that all cleaned out before we can move back into the house. We call it the little house, but most people have a basement, and we use this little house as, I guess, what normal people would use as a basement. So all of our storage, and I had an arts and crafts room in there that held all my scrapbooks and my pictures and things I was getting ready for my daughter's graduation next year. Again, the water came in at such force that even if I put things up high, it knocked it over. So I lost a lot of photos and scrapbooks and things that aren't really replaceable. I still don't call it stuff because it had a lot of meaning to me. I wrote the kids a letter every week from Iraq. Those letters were in a plastic bag, and they were in the water, so they were all just a pile of goop, and that kind of hurt. I had a container with all my binders. Military likes binders, right? We have binders for everything. All my military binders with all of my awards and certificates for the last 22 years. That was upside down in the water. So that wasn't necessarily stuff. That was kind of important, and it hurts a little bit. I shed some tears. That first day was really hard. Second day, not so much. Yesterday, I don't think I cried once, so I think I'm getting a little more, probably just used to it. It's pretty cool what a couple people, hardworking people, can do in a couple hours.
Yeah.
Do you want to come up to the house just for a minute? The water table's at like 100%. The septic, we have 2 septics. Yeah, in the springtime it looks kind of cool, but then you don't see wet ground because we do have a very high water table here. And yeah, the septics are full. So my flood insurance was structure only, not contents. All the contents are a loss. Some of the stuff that was in the little house, you know, again, things that you'd put in your basement, stuff that I was getting ready for a garage sale, that doesn't bother me, but lawnmowers, the kids' four-wheelers, and their dune buggy things, they sat underwater, so we're hoping tear out motors and fix it, but if not, the snow blower, those are kind of costly. Yeah, flood insurance is very expensive and very minimal on what they pay. Learned that through the last couple days. So I watch home improvement shows, and I know Chip Gaines loves demo day, so I called this our demo day.
Wow.
This is after 2 truckloads already went out. You know, our friends and family are from North Dakota, both of us, and they can't just come and help us. So they wanted to somehow monetarily help us, and the starter of the GoFundMe is from his hometown, so that was obviously awesome. We couldn't be more thankful for that.
I'm right there with you, Kelly. I'm the same way.
I know you want to get busy.
Oh yeah, do that first, and then I'll.
Wade can go. And
Okay.
David.
Yeah, those are all my old uniforms.
I think between those two, I got a good photo of them.
At like 11 o'clock, and we were done about 5. Like, okay, fine, we'll take your help. And they were animals yesterday. They were just...
Yeah, the big hay bales sat underwater, so you can't, because all my TA50 gear is dry. Well, whatever gear I had here at home. I don't know, I do projects and stuff.
Go back.
It looks like I just have a lot of junk. My military binder box out of that, because it's so saturated. I do all my canning out here because there was a full kitchen, so this is where I chop up all my vegetables. You got to get that sheetrock and the carpet out before the black mold sets in. It's overwhelming. It really is. That's all got to come out. It moves the sidewalk, and that's not covered under flood insurance because that's on the outside of my house. The back yard, it actually looks pretty good today. Yeah, there's a small stream. I guess you can kind of see the drop off on the other side of that tree row, and never been an issue. I guess the stream really wasn't an issue. This was a levee break 2 miles up the road. We kind of laugh at it. It's a chain of events that happened, creating a perfect storm for this to happen. If South Dakota wouldn't have got 5 inches of rain, if that dam wouldn't have broke, if a levee in Fremont wouldn't have broke, it was 7 things or 8 things had to happen in order for this to happen, and it's just dumb luck, crazy. Very thankful. We're very, very thankful. This could have been so much more, so much worse. Now that I know that flood insurance doesn't cover contents, or my policy didn't, this could have just been so much worse. And there's so many more people that lost so much more than we did. So very thankful. It's looking pretty hashed. Needs some staples, but we got that when we first moved in. Another National Guard member, he's currently deployed, but he found some old barn wood from, I think, his grandpa's barn, 100-year-old barn wood, and made it. And I obviously like anything flags, so grass will be an issue. So normally I wouldn't be looking for hay in the springtime, I'd look for hay in the fall. But hay is going to be an issue for a lot of people for a long time because so much hay was ruined. The pasture, you know, I said the water went to the hill, and the pasture that the water then sat, that's what usually gets hayed for us in the fall. So I don't know what that's going to look like. And the cost of hay is going to be astronomical. I say that, but I did get rid of one. The pony is going to go live somewhere else. So that I will only have 2 mouths to feed. He was a pasture mate, and he's gonna get broke to drive. So I know he'll get a job. He wasn't really he wasn't working here. We didn't have a job for him, and horses like having a job. So that'll be good for him. He's a little tubby, so he'll take some weight off and have a job, and I know he'll be well taken care of. But it'll be easier to find somewhere to keep them if I have 2 rather than 3. It makes me sad because my house is normally really cute, and it's really not right now. But I'm sorry. You know when people come over and you're like, sorry for the mess? On the first day was our staging area for photos. We tried to save as much as we could. We laid out towels, and the neighbor and my friend Kim came over and pulled apart photos and laid them all over to help them dry out. So we saved as much as we could. I know I had a lot of people tell me how to save wet photos, but you're so overwhelmed with the amount that where do you even start? It wasn't like I could spend a whole day on photos. I had to spend a day getting things out and trying to dry what we could. So, or space. Yeah, space wasn't an issue. And I was happy when other things piled on top and then I didn't have to see them because out of sight, out of mind. But, you know, they just look like, I'm sure we can get them reprinted. There's many agencies that work on them, but when they're wet and you pull them apart, I was happy with the ones that we could save. So that was good. It was right before I deployed and we did family photos. So that was one that I really wanted to save. The cuties. The crawl space real quick. This is, most people have been working in here. So this is what a house in a floodplain has, because you're not allowed to have a basement. And there's water down there again. We'll probably have water down there quite a bit. We'll have to continuously pump out. We got a majority of it out. Otherwise this was just like a boathouse because we're sitting on water. We don't know until the engineers come what kind of structural damage. I'm praying that the structure of the home wasn't compromised, and if it was, that's just going to be a nightmare. They'll have to raise the house and fix, and I can't even wrap my head around that. So I'm just praying that, you know, the structure wasn't compromised. I saved those. There was maybe 2 or 3 times where I'd pick something up and the first thought was, oh, I should try to clean this. Just a dude from Ashland who put out stood a lot of places and I've never had.
Is it organized chaos what you have going on here?
I kind of want to sit somewhat on the front of their stoop before I leave.
Yeah.
Is that a Ranger or Datsun or his type?
That's a little Isuzu.
You'll sell this whole work.
See, it just goes.
It's insane. It's from
That you wrote them? Here.
You want the rocks wet. So
I couldn't get it to, I gotta see, hold on. I'm not really getting it. I gotta get, there we go.
I got it.
Yep. Those are your letters.
Yeah. That made me sad. Is that made me sad? How do you go back to Iraq for a year and write your kid a letter every week? And you know what? The boys is, a lot of their stuff was spared. Hers was on the bottom tote, and every age got a little bit more. Look at the water. So their stuff was spared, and I was like, the boys don't care though. It's the girl would have.
Oh yeah, the girls care. Oh,
So,
that's sad.
you want the heavy stuff over the wheels, preferably, I suppose, huh? Yeah.
I love hand sanitizer, but yeah, the cat.
yeah, they're weighted before you go in and weighed when you come out. So
Here's 80. Let me know if you.
Yeah, I'm not.